All right, welcome back. Day 2, RSAC 2026. I'm Doug White. I get the great pleasure this afternoon to talk to Tom Tovar,
Thank you for having me.
who is the CEO at Appdome, and that is so exciting. I mean, you and I have been talking for a little bit here because we had the chance to speak, and it was really fun.
Thank you.
You are a very, very interesting person and very smart, which made me feel bad, but I will work on that. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
So this one, I read the title, and I read all your questions. I did all my prep on it, but I'm not as knowledgeable, I think, about what you're talking about, and I want to hear more about it because it's very intriguing. But the title was how we achieve agentic outcomes in cybersecurity, which already was like, okay, that's interesting. But there was a colon.
Yep.
And then we went on and said the do it for me mobile defense.
Yeah.
And so I'm certainly wanting to hear more about what this means and in terms of agentic. And so I think what it was it's about having agentic start to step in and have more control. Is that fair? Tell me what it means. I think is the better way to do it.
Yeah, so obviously we're here at RSA right now, and there's a lot of talk about using AI for across the enterprise, and whether it's appropriate to use it in some cases and not others, and whether you need guardrails on it, or how do you provide authorization to agents to access applications and that sort of, all of which is a great conversation, and there's a lot of wonderful companies that are focused on that. I think there's a separate question, which is how do we leverage agentic technology as a workforce, as a worker, as performing tasks, performing functions, maybe even performing jobs of the future, whatever those may be. As the threat landscape continues to evolve and the complexity of enterprise systems continue to evolve, I think just specialized work will be filled in the future by specialized agents that will do that work. So we don't necessarily need to train humans to do that new work. We can leverage agents to do those work and do that task. So the big evolutionary step that I think we're all looking forward to is a notion where we're not looking to maintain a human in the loop. We're looking to elevate the human in the loop to give us more reasoning power, more decisioning, more autonomy over the task, and allow the worker or the agent to perform the task on a daily basis, and may even do that more consistently, more continuously, and so forth. So when we talk about moving to agentic outcomes, we're not really talking about using AI to analyze threats or determine the next emerging attack vector. We're talking about really performing tasks, whether that is adjusting a policy, adjusting a defense posture, doing that in runtime or real time, and taking over something that otherwise a human would have to go access a system and do. It's a scary notion, but I think that's where we're headed.
I mean, do you think that we're still kind of in the churn of that? Because at least that's how I feel. Because I am trying, being an old professor, to adopt. I mean, I love new things.
Yep.
I'm not an early adopter, but I love new things.
Yep.
And I want to use those things.
Yep.
Anything I can use to make things better.
Yeah.
I want to use. But I feel like I'm still sort of in the churn of what you're talking about. I haven't established where you said you're going to elevate me.
Yep.
I don't know where I'm going to elevate to. I don't know which floor I'm going to get off on yet.
Yeah, I think it's already happening. I mean, no doubt you probably use some agentic tool in your own, and you probably have already felt that your own learning curve is accelerated as a result of that.
Agreed.
I think we can all agree that frontier model makers have, if nothing else, given us a much better search than what we're used to, right? So in the old days, you would go onto Google and you would search for things, and you would get a lot of links, and you would click those links and you would read them and try to formulate your own whatever out of it. These days, you enter the query, you enter the prompt into your LLM, you get back an answer. You might challenge it or interrogate it a bit, but overall your learning capacity is improved, your learning curve is improved, your decisioning is improved, and so forth. So I think we're all feeling that today. Some of us are going the next step, and we're starting to say, well, if I have to do research about something, can I just automate that task and have the agent do that for me if that's a normal part of my job? And then others are taking that even further. Can it write code for me? Can I build other more advanced tooling using AI to achieve things? And so you're seeing the enterprise really race at that, really trying to figure out what part of my work ecosystem can I delegate to the machine today, and what does that path look like in the future? So we're very much in the center of the churn. If churn, you mean the butter,
That's
the butter
well, I just
analogy.
mean the swirl of,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't exactly know where I
Yeah.
exist in this particular
But you know
mess.
it's something.
I do.
Yeah,
And many of the pieces you're talking about, I'm like, well, I'm already doing that.
yeah,
I haven't established trust.
yeah,
You know, I'm facilitating things that I've always done myself,
yeah,
and saying, wow, if I could remove that task,
Yeah.
which is just a boring, repetitive task,
exactly.
I would have so much more time to do this task,
Exactly.
which is a much more interesting thing.
Intellectually challenging, stimulating, fulfilling, whatever. Then
Well, I
agree.
saw it accelerate my class design.
Yeah.
Because, you know, things that I was telling my wife recently, I was like, you know, I was going to build a new class
Yeah.
in this firewalling thing. And
Yeah.
in the old days, I just didn't have the time to build this back-end infrastructure to make the class more realistic.
Yeah,
I was focused on this. Well, if I can turn that over to Agentic,
yeah,
I can spend my time on the almost, you know, fantasy part of it to make it seem more realistic to the students, so they've
Yeah.
seen more what this would look like in the real world.
absolutely. So for example, one of the things that in the technology that I created and our company builds is we took a very discrete function, which was adding security and defense features to mobile applications,
Okay.
which without technology is a very difficult, sophisticated, very boring, hard thing to do.
Right.
It involves a lot of work. It involves a lot of maintenance. Attack surface keeps evolving.
Yep.
The operating system keeps evolving. The device substrate keeps evolving, and so you're constantly maintaining. If you're building it yourself, you're constantly maintaining a tremendous amount of code inside your application and making sure that it runs well and so forth. So now imagine you take that task, that boring, every day, every moment, task, and you say, I'm going to let a machine do that. I'm going to let a machine build a set of defenses into my mobile application, relieve my engineering team of that burden,
Right.
and I can still validate that those defenses are working. I can still do a pen test. I can still do a dynamic application security
should.
test, and you should, exactly. I can still do that, but ultimately a machine has taken that task over. Now, 10 years ago, when we started this journey, that was revolutionary.
Yeah.
And people were saying, well, wait a minute, I've got 30 engineers and they're the best engineers in the world, and why don't I just let them do this? And I have DevSecOps and I have a loop and so forth, and I've got it all figured out. Fast forward to today, no one says that. Everyone's saying, you know what? We can machine that in. We can let a machine build that for us. As long as we maintain the autonomy to check and validate, we can do that. So I think you're going to find that happy ground or that safe ground or that trusted ground. It might start relatively low today, but it will incrementally grow
I agree.
over time. And I think we got to be smart in how we do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's sort of where we are, because one of the dangers I always see in these things is just people overstepping it.
Yeah.
Just they come in and they go, do it.
Yeah.
And and I've seen that a different concept than the mobile, but just the same thing with people going to employees and saying, use this, we're tracking how much.
Yeah.
And a personal friend said, I don't really know what they mean by that.
Yeah.
What do they want me to do? Dump all my files into this thing?
Yeah.
And the same thing
I wouldn't
here.
recommend anybody do that.
I mean, please don't. How do we start to build the foundations of that in our organization to get that process you're talking about, which I think sounds great? How do we start building that into our process?
Well, I think that's going to become a key part of the cyber function in the future.
Okay.
The cyber function of the future will be, I think, defining that roadmap of delegated autonomy or delegated agentic work, because I do think that will differ depending upon the industry that you're in and the work that you perform and so forth. I do wonder if we as a cyber community can really, I like to say, be the P in front of the locomotive, in physics terms, I'm sure the P slows down the locomotive, but when you look at it, does it really? I'm a little worried that we might be trying too hard to gate that adoption. I don't think we can gate that adoption. I think what we can do is gate the delegation of tasks and functions. And I think it will differ depending upon, you have organizations today that some have really strong cyber organizations. So the delegated authority might be less. You have others who struggle with finding the right talent or the right people, and they might need more of an agentic workforce. So I think it's going to vary. When I step back and I look at how these frontier model creators talk about the future of AI, there's all these doomsday scenarios, and I think left unchecked or left without a rational evolutionary model, yeah, it could get out of hand. But I think that same notion of a rational evolutionary model, if we apply it inside of an enterprise and say, what are the tasks that need to be done, that it really is better if it's done right and done consistently. Okay. And so I look at cyber and I think defense.
Yeah.
Defense is a great place to leverage agentic work, because missing it, getting it wrong, is just too much. Too much at stake.
I think another piece of this that I like a lot about what you're saying is that this also, not everybody has 30 great engineers.
Yeah.
But they're still building components and building apps.
They are.
And like you said, this mobile environment which has always been terrifying to me, because again, I'm old. I was dealing with people sitting in a terminal that never moved from that spot, and I could go turn the keyboard off if I needed to.
Yeah.
But now I got a device that's being carried all over the world, and I have no idea what's touching it. And I'm getting people using apps that were not built by the best engineering team in the world. They were built by two 12-year-olds in New Jersey on a Saturday afternoon, but half my staff is using this.
Yeah.
And it seems to me like this agentic AI component you're talking about builds a kind of floor under this, that if we could make that floor equal across,
and moving up over time.
Oh, absolutely.
To match the threat.
Absolutely, because the floor keeps getting higher, because we can always say, well, that was the old floor.
Yeah.
We've just added two new pieces on top of it.
Exactly.
It suddenly levels that playing field from a security perspective, does allow some of those people to get into my enterprise that I otherwise would say, no, under no circumstances are we using this, but we might be able to trust this somewhat now.
I think you just nailed it. I think that's the perfect analogy for how to think about this. I think that you are going to see today, if I'm a B2B app maker, and I want the employee base to use my application in your workplace, you as the cyber person are going to give me a set of requirements.
Right.
And I either meet those or I don't meet those. And if I don't meet those, you're going to tell me, sorry,
no thanks.
Can't use it in my environment. That has, up until the age of AI, those sets of requirements have been largely formulaic, static, not changing. In an age of AI, you're going to see those things move up, and as they do, the developer is going to have to meet those standards, or the IT person is going to have to come in, or the cyber person is going to have to come in and use a technology to raise that application to those standards so that productivity can continue.
And that's what I want to see, because I've seen these situations where people are saying, oh, we got employees downloading 100 apps a day.
Yeah.
And we kind of like the idea because maybe we'll find the new thing. Because if we're just the same as everybody else, we don't have a competitive advantage. And look, and I'm like, you're doomed.
Yeah.
This is like the recipe for giant disaster. But this could set me to that foundation.
Yeah. Now take that same scenario and turn it to the brand side, the revenue side.
Okay.
The apps that you and I use every day for banking, travel, friends, social media, whatever. All the stuff we interact with where our money's at stake, not the business, our data's at stake, not the business, and where there's no real standard. It's just whatever the fraud guys throw at you. It's whatever the cyber guys throw at you. And ask yourself, how does an enterprise that isn't leveraging agentic work, how does it keep up with the agentic threat? And you say, oh, okay, there's no way in a B2C mobile application for a set of developers working inside of a brand can keep up doing manual coding with attackers who are using agents to create attacks, to do deepfakes, to do social engineering, etc. So that uncharted territory. You
I mean,
need
they
agentic
weren't
work.
even keeping up when there wasn't
Exactly,
agentic attackers.
exactly.
It was
exactly.
impossible because I've always called this the infinite series problem.
Exactly.
Because I'm a developer.
Yep.
There's an infinite number
Of
of
attackers.
12-year-old hackers
Exactly.
and nation states.
Exactly.
And everybody out
Yep.
there, and they have an infinite amount of time to
Yep.
target me. So
And
I
you have
no-
a
I
finite
no hope.
and you have a finite amount of resources.
Exactly. It was just me. I developed the whole app.
Exactly.
And it's over. Because
Exactly.
there's no way I can combat that in any
Exactly.
kind of effective
So
way.
now imagine you have the power of an infinite workforce
Yes.
in an agentic solution that helps you keep pace with that infinite attacker problem. All of a sudden, okay, my revenues are more protected, my data is more protected, my business is more protected, and I can scale independent of my headcount.
I don't see any way around it.
I don't see anywhere around
No,
that.
I mean, so it sounds like you have a model moving forward.
I mean, look, I think you gotta I think you gotta build technologies that produce outcomes and help people. And I think we were talking about this before.
Yeah.
Like, I love being on the good guy side. Like, I just love being on the good guy side. I love being in cyber. I love I think that if we can change the economics of fraud, change the economics of hacking, change the economics of cyber attacks, we can take a big bite out of it.
Okay.
And that's where agentic work and agentic workflows come into play.
Well, obviously, we could talk about this the rest of the day and tomorrow.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have that much time. But
Well, I'm
you know,
glad
Tom,
we had this conversation.
Me too. I enjoyed it very much. Tom, thank you so much for joining us. It's my pleasure. To learn more about Appdome, please visit securityweekly.com/Appdome RSAC. And for all the rest of our RSAC 2026 coverage from Cyber Risk Alliance, please visit securityweekly.com/RSAC. And if you'll stick around, it won't be me, but there will be even more content to come today, and I'll be back tomorrow with all new interviews. Hang around. Thank you.
And thank you.